Preface to an essay of the shaking palsy. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. An essay of the shaking palsy by James Parkinson. Preface. The advantages which have been derived from the caution with which hypothetical statements are admitted are in no instance more obvious than in those sciences which more particularly belong to the healing art. It therefore is necessary that some conciliatory explanation should be offered for the present publication, in which it is acknowledged that mere conjecture takes the place of experiment, and that analogy is the substitute for anatomical examination, the only sure foundation for pathological knowledge. When, however, the nature of the subject and the circumstances under which it has here been taken up are considered, it is hoped that the offering of the following pages to the attention of the medical public will not be severely censored. The disease respecting which the present inquiry is made is of a nature highly afflictive, notwithstanding which it has not yet obtained a place in the classification of nosologists. Some have regarded its characteristic symptoms as distinct and different diseases, and others have given its name to diseases differing essentially from it, whilst the unhappy sufferer has considered it as an evil, from the domination of which he had no prospect of escape. The disease is of long duration. To connect, therefore, the symptoms which occur in its later stages with those which mark its commencement requires a continuance of observation of the same case, or at least a correct history of its symptoms, even for several years. Of both these advantages the writer has had the opportunities of availing himself, and has hence been led particularly to observe several other cases in which the disease existed in different stages of its progress. By these repeated observations he hoped that he had been led to a probable conjecture as to the nature of the malady, and that analogy had suggested such means as might be productive of relief, and perhaps even of cure, if employed before the disease had been too long established. He therefore considered it to be a duty to submit his opinions to the examination of others, even in their present state of immaturity and imperfection. To delay their publication did not indeed appear to be warrantable. The disease had escaped particular notice, and the task of ascertaining its nature and cause by anatomical investigation did not seem likely to be taken up by those who, from their abilities and opportunities, were most likely to accomplish it. That these friends to humanity and medical science, who have already unveiled to us many of the morbid processes by which health and life is abridged, might be excited to extend their researches to this malady, was much desired, and it was hoped that this might be procured by the publication of these remarks. Should the necessary information be thus obtained, the writer will repine at no censure which the precipitate publication of mere conjectural suggestions may incur, but shall think himself fully rewarded by having excited the attention of those who may point out the most appropriate means of relieving a tedious and most distressing malady. End of Preface. Chapter 1 of an essay of the shaking palsy by James Parkinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 1. Definition, History, Illustrative Cases. Shaking palsy, paralysis, agitans. Involuntary tremulous motion, with lessened muscular power, in parts not in action, and even when supported, with a propensity to bend the trunk forward and to pass from a walking to a running pace, the senses and intellects being uninjured. The term shaking palsy has been vaguely employed by medical writers in general. By some it has been used to designate ordinary cases of palsy, in which some slight tremblings have occurred, whilst by others it has been applied to certain anomalous affections not belonging to palsy. The shaking of the limbs belonging to this disease was
Sample complete. Ready to continue?